Well, good morning. I've got some good news for a change. Say, what is this? Taking some pictures?
As a matter of fact, I have. I think it's the first time I used that camera you gave me last Christmas.
I think it was the Christmas before last, actually. Who on earth is this?
Why, don't you recognize her? It's Hester Atherton herself.
I don't know. It looks like an old lady selling newspapers to me.
It is. I saw her on a street corner. Hasn't she a wonderfully old face? It's just the sort of face I imagined Hester would have when she's transformed into the malevolent witch.
I see. So you took these pictures to act as a kind of model.
Exactly. You know I like to create my own makeup, Owen, but I need some inspiration. And my little old newspaper woman is absolutely perfect. If you don't believe it, ask Mr. Archer.
Listen, I heard all about Tread Archer and the way you tried to scare him. Listen, no, it wasn't really such a good idea. That guy's nervous enough as it is, you know?
I had to test how real it is. Owen, I want it to be real, everything about this part. Maybe witches like this didn't actually exist, but I want the audience to feel that Hester Atherton does. I want to be Hester Atherton.
You always did like to live your roles, didn't you?
Yes, and I want to live this one. I've read every word of her autobiography. I almost feel as if I've lived her life. And who knows? I may even develop her powers.
As a witch?
Yes. Do you know what I'd do with the power if I had it? The first thing I'd do is make a love potion. So I can make you love me again.
Look, Noah, this is neither the time nor the place to get into all that, am I?
No, of course it isn't. I'm sorry. We have to get down to business, don't we?
That's right. We're already 2 weeks behind schedule, and on our budget, that's a near disaster.
Well, when you came in, you said there was good news for a change.
Oh, yes, there is, actually. I cast the role of Tom Halifax. Yeah, the actor we saw at the Monticello Playhouse. You remember the one you liked so much?
Yes. Rafferty. That was his name, wasn't it?
Right. Chris Rafferty. Well, we finally came to an agreement last night, and he's out there on the set right now, just raring to go.
Oh, wonderful, Owen. I think he'll be very good. I just hope he isn't afraid of ghosts like Mr. Archer.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's a good idea that Trent didn't come with us last night to hear what happened to the night watchman.
Why, are you going to replace the watchman?
I'm going to have to. He's too frightened to death to come back to work. Nola, do you know that he actually believes that he saw the ghost of Hester Atherton roaming around the set? Oh, by the way, did I tell you what Eddie is planning to do about that?
What's that? Conduct a seance?
Well, actually, you're pretty close. What he's done, he's hired a psychic to come onto the soundstage tonight and exorcise the devil or whatever psychics do.
Are you serious?
Well, it's a half serious. At least Eddie is. Well, the psychic that he's hired is April Scott. Do you remember her?
Yes, of course. Margot Dorn's daughter.
Right.
She doesn't seem like a medium to me.
Well, she isn't exactly, but apparently she's had some sort of supernatural experiences which gave Eddie the idea. Of course, the fact that her mother owns the TV station and her sister-in-law is the anchor person on the 6 o'clock news doesn't hurt.
Eddie really works all the angles, doesn't he?
Yeah, doesn't miss a trick. Well, listen, when you're ready, come out in the set. Jason wants to rehearse the first scene with you and Tom Halifax.
I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Okay, see you out there.
Fever rack, bones crack, savage creatures wild, inferno to his ancestors, and death unto his child. Thus do I curse the faithless lover.
What's happened to Margot? It almost sounds like the plot of that Mansion of the Damned movie. Have you heard about that?
Oh, of course I have. Trent Archer told me all about it at the movie. The heroine is a spinster who never married because her daddy turned away a man who he considered to be a fortune hunter.
Yeah, so she waits all her life for another fortune hunter to come along, and when he does, she accepts him with open arms.
You know, I guess Margot knew what she was accepting when she married Elliot. But now she's alone again. I wonder if this movie has a happy ending.
Working together, Mr. Rafferty. I really enjoyed your performance at the theater.
Well, I guess you know I've never made a movie before, and it's quite an honor for me to make one with you.
Thank you.
And with you too, Mr. Archer.
Well, how kind. Maybe Mr. Madison will see that you have a special line in the credits. Introducing Chris Rafferty.
Please, girls and boys, let's not worry about credits. Not yet. We haven't shot 1 foot of this picture yet.
So why don't we get started? Chris, are you going to need a script?
No, sir. I've got this scene down fairly well, I think.
And you just started last night? Well, I think you have a find, Owen.
Center stage, everybody, please. Anola, you know who you are. Hester Atherton, spinster lady, plenty of money, plenty of yearnings for romance. And you, Tom Halifax. You're the charming rogue who's going to give her what she wants. Now, let's see if we can't get through this without anything else going wrong.
Why, what's been going wrong?
You mean you haven't heard about the curse on this movie, Mr. Rafferty?
Curse.
Please, Nola, let's just stop this nonsense and do the scene. All right?
What an interesting home you have, Miss Atherton. I feel as though I've been cast back into medieval times.
My father was fond of the era, Mr. Halifax. He seemed comfortable in these surroundings.
And do you?
I have visited the university where you teach. Some of its buildings are not unlike this one.
Well, I'm not actually a teacher. Did I give you that impression?
I thought that's what you said.
Well, no, the truth is I'm a student. A graduate student, of course. I have a small income from my deceased parents, which gives me just enough wherewithal to pursue the literary muse.
I see.
A line.
I know what you're thinking of. Chris.
I know what you're thinking, of course. And you're right. You're looking at a failure.
I had no such thought.
Oh, you're looking at a true failure, Miss Atherton. Those poor beggars you see on the street, those wretched bankrupts and drunks, oh, they're not genuine. They had nothing to begin with. No money, no family background, no education. No, a true failure must squander his fortune, shame his family, and forgo his education. I have done all this successfully.
I think you're jesting with me, Mr. Halifax.
Oh, do you really think there's a lower class of human being than a man who is a perpetual scholar? One who has to be indulged like a schoolboy when he shaves every morning and who wenches every night? I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I know a little of the world. I've been here long enough.
Not more than 30 summers, I'm sure.
They didn't teach you arithmetic at your university.
They taught me one thing, an appreciation of grace and beauty.
But you said you're not just a scholar, you're an author.
Oh, I will be when my book is complete. But that is something that cannot happen without you, Miss Atherton.
Why me?
Because you have something I need. Something I believe is in this very house. A ghost.
What?
You have the spirit of Hester Atherton here, your namesake. That venerable ancestor hanged as a witch 200 years ago, only yards from where we stand. Surely you must have heard of her.
I've heard far too much of her, Mr. Halifax, and far too much of witches in this town. To my mind, the worst curse ever visited on Salem has been the obsessive interest of curiosity seekers.
And what of Hester's curses, Miss Atherton? Have you found them?
Certainly not.
Now, everyone I've talked to believes that they're still concealed in this very house. That Hester Atherton concealed her spells here just before her arrest by the magistrate, John Hawthorne.
Well, I'm afraid you're mistaken. You've been victimized by a false and ridiculous rumor. No documents of that nature are in this house. If they were your only reason for this journey, you've wasted your money and your energy.
Well, then, having so little of either, perhaps I should say thank you and good day.
Mr. Halifax, wait. The least I can do is to offer you a cup of tea.
Enchanted, if you don't mind the word.
That was good, kids. That's great, but it can be even better.
Trent, You all right?
Yes, damn it, I'm fine.
While Nola's getting ready, why don't we run through your scene with Tom Halifax, Trent?
I suppose we might as well. Now, don't tell me that you know this scene by heart, too, Mr. Rafferty.
Oh, I may have to look at the script once in a while.
Here you go, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, let's go over here where we can do it. Now, as you know, this scene is very brief, but I think you should both be aware of the subtext. Now, Tom does not know that you are the devil himself, but he does know that you have a strong influence over Hester.
Yeah, right. What shall we start it?
Are you okay, Trent? You look a little warm.
Now, don't worry. I'm not going to pass out again. Let's do the scene.
Ready when you are, CB.
I understand you're interested in making a purchase from Miss Atherton.
Yes, indeed. I am. A very interesting purchase.
May I ask what you believe the textile mill to be worth?
Oh, the mill. Oh, yes, the mill. Well, that's hard to say, Mr. Halifax. You see, I'm really not a judge of that sort of property.
Well, surely if you wish to buy it, you must have some idea. You see, I'm a good friend of Miss Atherton's. You might say I'm looking after her interest.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're looking after them very carefully. But doesn't Mrs. Atherton have an attorney that handles her affairs?
Oh, Mr. Whalen looks after business matters. I look after the affairs of the heart. You see, Miss Atherton and I are to be married shortly. So you might have to make your deal with me.
Oh, deal with you? Well, that would hardly be a challenge, Mr. Rafferty. What is it?
Halifax.
Halifax. Mr. Halifax. I think that I do know, after all, that what I want I have already got. Laugh, 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 laugh.
Very good.
Oh, it is so hot in here. Why is it so hot in here? When are we going to do Nola's scene?
She's on her set right now, Trent. Come on.
Well, then let's get over there, huh? Oh, that's nice reading.
Thank you.
Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Ready, Nola?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we'll start on page 60. Now, Chris, you're aware of the situation. Hester has caught you with Patience Revere playing Kissy Face, and now you're trying to convince her that it was just a harmless flirtation. Everybody ready?
Okay. Hester! Hester, please open the door. Let me talk to you.
Go away.
Please, my darling. What you saw meant nothing. Nothing at all.
Oh, you're a liar. You don't love me. You never loved me. You love that simpering girl.
Let me in.
Go away, I said. I have important things to do. Prince of eternal darkness, come unto me. Master of foulness, hold out thy hand. Breathe thy tongue of fire upon my face. Scorch my lips with thy searing kiss. Brand my soul with the irons of hell. I accept thee, Lord of evil. My heart yields to thy power. Euphas, Metahim, Frugativi, et ab alavi. Thus I evoke thee, Satan.
Trent! Takes care of that. Yeah. Oh, look, is it important? I was just on my way out. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll talk to him. Hello, Mr. Madison.
Hi, doctor. Listen, I'm sorry to do this to you again, but I'm afraid we have another medical emergency out here.
Is it Mr. Archer?
Yeah, he's even worse this time. I'm afraid he's just passed out. Now, look, I would have called the ambulance, but I'd rather have somebody out here who knows something about his case.
Well, I was just on the way to the hospital myself, but it's not that far out of my way. All right, I'll stop by and take a look at him.
Great.
Darling, you don't have to retype this. Just make the changes in pencil, and I'll have someone retype it later.
All right, all right. It looks easy.
Well, it's absolute coolie labor, and I really appreciate you helping me with it.
Oh, listen, I don't mind. I know you're short-handed with April gone. I really miss her.
Well, I'm just so happy for her. I mean, I know how upset she was. She wanted to keep little Jamie Swift so badly, and now here she is, going to have a baby of her own. It's just about the happiest miracle in the world.
Yeah, it is.
But I never really understood happiness. I mean, I always figured there was kind of a law of compensation. I mean, for every period of misery, one would have a period of happiness.
That's a very comforting theory.
Yeah, except it works both ways. I mean, just when you think you have a little...
Here. Margot, look, don't you think that you're trying just a little bit too hard?
No, listen, I know that you have a lot of work here at WMON, but maybe it would be a good idea if you just took a little bit of time off.
To do what? Sit on a beach and think about how miserable I am?
No, I don't mean that at all. It's if you could just be with some people who, I don't know what I mean. It just seems to me that when things go wrong in your life, that it's very difficult to maintain the usual routine.
Well, don't people usually say that work is the best medicine?
Now, yes, they say that, but they also say that a change of scenery does one a lot of good.
Somehow scenery isn't very important to me anymore. Funny how things change. I used to think the view from my penthouse terrace was so beautiful. Now I don't even look at it anymore. It may as well be a brick wall. I guess things lose importance as you grow older. All except one thing. People that you care about, and people that care about you.
Yeah. I suppose that's true. But, still, I think a brief vacation might do you.
No! No matter where I go or what I do, all I'll wind up doing is thinking about Elliot. And how he made a fool of me, and how he lied to me, and how I hate him for it.
Oh, Margot.
It's funny. I never thought I'd ever hate anyone, but good old Elliot has changed that. The man is an unfeeling, selfish monster. And I do hate him for it.
All right, deep breath and hold it. Exhale.
Doctor.
Once again.
Doctor.
Just one more minute, Mr. Madison.
Fine.
Exhale.
Sorry.
Once more. Exhale.
Oh, and I really feel terrible about this. It's all my fault.
It certainly is a tribute to your makeup skills, Nola. You really frightened that guy.
Well, he should have been used to me looking like this. I showed him the makeup the other night.
I know, we just can't go on like this, Jason. Every time we try to do a scene, every time we rehearse a scene, something goes wrong.
This is not the first picture to have problems over.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if the rumor's true.
He is all right now, Mr. Madison.
Oh, Dr. Kavanaugh. Well, what is it? Do you know what's wrong with it?
Well, as a matter of fact, his test results came back late yesterday, and I was right about the blood sugar. It is low. Have you ever heard of a disease called hypoglycemia?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what he's suffering from. He'll be all right if he just takes care of himself.
Well, I'll talk to him.
I told him he ought to take a day or two off.
We can't afford any more days, Doctor.
Well, you can't afford to lose your star either. Oh, except, of course, you're the real star, Mrs. Madison. That is you, isn't it?
Yes, Doctor, it is. May I say I'm delighted that you weren't sure.
Trent, feeling all right?
I feel rotten. I have felt rotten since the day that I signed to do this dumb B-movie turkey of yours.
Look, Trent, I talked to the doctor and he knows what's wrong with you. It's hypoglycemia.
It is nothing of the kind. Nothing was wrong with me until I got mixed up with the Mansion of the Damned. Well, now I've got a cure for that. I am getting out of this picture, this damn picture, right away. You know, the whole thing has a curse on
Now,
it.
just a minute, Trent.
Look, everybody is cursed. Don't you know that? But the best thing you can do is just shut down the production of the whole damn movie. Look, if you don't look out, everybody's gonna end up dead. Well, that's not gonna happen to me. Look, I've had enough of this. Look, I quit!
Draper, look, come on, please don't work past 9 o'clock tonight. It's unhealthy to work these kind of hours.
It's a perfect chance for me to get the Crawford brief written since you're not going to be around tonight.
Hey, well, look, I'm not planning on being home late. Eddie Vaughn said this should take about an hour or so.
Well, I wish I were going with you.
Well, you can't. They're not allowing anyone in the studio. And the only reason I'm allowed to go in is because I'm psychic. It's so silly.
It certainly is silly. In fact, the only thing about this mess that's not silly is the money they're paying you. Look, do me a favor. Make sure you get the money right away, all right?
Oh, you bet. Besides, that money's already spent. Oh, listen, there's someone at the door. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, take care of yourself,
I will, don't worry. Bye-bye. Who is it? Hey. You! Oh, Logan! Hello,
Hello.
come on in.
Hope you don't mind a little unexpected company.
Hey, I hope you don't mind. Draper's in here.
Oh?
He's still at the office, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it. He's becoming a workaholic these days.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the neighborhood, driving around, getting a little fresh air, and feeling lonesome, so here I am.
Oh, Logan, you always know you're welcome here. Mm-hmm. But aside from Draper not even being here, I can't even hang around too long myself.
Well, where are you off to?
You're not going to believe this.
What?
I'm going to hunt a ghost. Are you sure I can't get you a plate?
No.
A fork, a dish?
No,
something
really.
to drink?
I've had dinner. I'm fine. It just smells good, that's all.
Tastes good, too.
About this ghost stuff, you sure they're not pulling your leg?
If it's a joke, it's a very expensive one. They are paying me 1,000 bananas to do this. Is that unbelievable?
Holy cow. For $1,000, I'd haunt the place myself.
No, you mean?
But it's a publicity stunt, right? I mean, they're not really worried about spooks.
I don't know. I really don't. This whole thing is stemmed from this movie they're working on. Mansion of the Damned. Do you know anything about it?
I read something about it.
Well, it's about witches and devils and so forth, things like that.
But no ghosts.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they're supposed to have any ghosts in the movie, but the problem is the studio is haunted with ghosts, they think. Anyway, a lot of strange things have been happening.
Well, what do they expect you to be able to do about it?
I haven't the faintest idea. Look, I told them, this Eddie Vaughn character, their publicity man, that I had some visions and premonitions in the past, and he seems to think that I am psychic, that I am sensitive to the spirit world. Okay, well, look, I'm sure he expects some kind of publicity coverage. But that has nothing to do with me. That is strictly up to Margot. All I'm interested in is covering the floor of that nursery upstairs.
Yeah. $1,000 would help out in that department, wouldn't it?
You're telling me.
Yeah, that's an awful lot of money. You sure there isn't some sort of risk involved in this?
Risk, what are you talking about?
Well, I don't know. Just you're a pregnant lady, right? Pregnant ladies supposed to take care of themselves.
Logan, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is stand in the middle of a studio and wait for something to happen. And look, we both know nothing's gonna happen.
Okay, all right.
Logan, I don't believe in ghosts. All right, okay, last year I had those premonitions, visions, things like that, but that was different. I don't believe that dead people can come back to life. Do you?
No, I don't believe in that. I just believe in live people. And dead shrimp.
No. Just one.
Ramsey Martin? Are you kidding? Look, even if I could afford the guy, he couldn't stand up long enough to make a movie.
Come on, Owen, let's go.
Hold on. Yeah, well, I guess we'll just have to, all right? Okay, Gloria, all right. Yep, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye. We're dead, Eddie.
We're late, that's what we are. I told that Scott girl to meet us out at the studio at 8 o'clock. Now, if she gets there before we do and sees some of those funny lights or spooks or something, she's just liable to turn around and go back home.
Eddie, is that all you can think about, your haunted studio?
It's not the studio, it's publicity for Mansion of the Damned. Oh, no kidding, Owen. This could be a big breakthrough. Oh, I know we got the little TV talk show, but hell, that was just talk. This could be some real action.
Eddie, it's just a childish game.
Look, that night watchman saw something out there. Now, who knows? Maybe if the Scott girl saw something too, well, at least it'd earn us a little spine-tingling moment on the WMON TV news. Oh, I know that's no big deal in itself, but, well, it's just the kind of thing that the news services might pick up. We could be on every TV news show in the country by tomorrow night.
Eddie, we could be all over by tomorrow night. I was just on the phone to Gloria Halbert. We haven't got a leading man.
Oh, what about Christy Rafferty? He looked pretty darn good to me.
I'm talking about Nicholas Harriman. I mean, it's the most important role in the movie, Eddie, next to Nola's.
Well, maybe Trent Archer will change his mind. Hey, suppose we frightened him by threatening him with a lawsuit.
He's more scared about your damn curse. Now, Eddie Nola talked to him all afternoon. It was absolutely no use. He's gone. Oh, he's on the plane to Los Angeles.
Well, that is bad news.
Yeah. It's going to take us weeks to find a replacement. By then, the overtime will kill us. That's not the worst thing, Eddie.
What's that?
It's Nola. I'm really worried what this is going to do to her. She was so optimistic about making this movie, and now I don't think it's going to get finished.
Just because one lousy actor walks out of the set?
Eddie, look, there are 5 characters in this movie. We're talking about 1/5 of the cast.
Where's Nola now?
I don't know. She just said she was going out for a while. And she didn't say where. I know, you better go out on your own. I'm really worried about her, Eddie.
Yeah. Okay, I'll see you out there.
Yes, ma'am. What would you like this evening?
I'll have scotch on the rocks, please.
Okay. Scotch. That is right, isn't it?
Is it?
If you'd like to change your mind, it's...
I'm trying to make up my mind whether to drink it or not.
Well, you did order it.
Yes, I ordered it. Look, stop staring at me. I didn't come in here to be stared at.
Sorry.
Mrs. Nidus?
Oh, Mr. Dorn.
What a pleasure to see you. Even under these painful circumstances.
Painful? In what way?
Oh, never mind. It's my pain, not yours. Although I am, as they say, feeling no pain. Richard! Manager! Give me what the lady is having.
Oh, well, here. You can have this one.
Oh, no. I wouldn't think of it. You know, I look like the kind of man who would take gifts from a lady. Oh, that's it.
Well, you do seem to be enjoying your own product. Doesn't that make it more difficult to manage this place?
Ah, but you see, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm not the manager of this place any longer. I'm just a customer here now. Although this evening, a very good customer. Am I right, Richard? That's Richard. New bartender. I hired him myself. He's a new manager here. How about that? Skyrocket career, eh, Richard? Well, if you really don't want that drink.
No, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Because you see, at this point, I have run out of money. Been drinking 12-year-old scotch. It's expensive getting high on that stuff.
Mr. Dorn, has something happened?
Yes, something has happened, Mrs. Matz. No, or should I say Miss Patterson? No, yes, indeed. Something has happened. I've been a very naughty boy, Miss Patterson. Because I was naughty, my wife, in all her wisdom, took away all my toys, including the bright red one, the unicorn.
I see.
So now Elliot has to pay for all his drinks. Only Elliot has run all out of funds.
Perhaps it's just as well. There are limits. I know that only too well.
You know my wife, don't you? It's a nice, rich lady. Nice, rich, clever lady. She didn't give me anything. She just loaned it to me. You know, so when she got tired, she just took it back. All of it.
But why? Are you and your wife separate?
Oh, washed up, Miss Madison. No, that's wrong. It's Miss Patterson. Oh, why don't I just call you Nola?
Yes, please do.
It's a very sad thing when a marriage breaks up, Nola. Very, very sad thing. Especially when the wife has all the money. Do you think I could sue her for alimony? I mean, men do get alimony payments nowadays, don't they?
I've heard of such cases.
She's too clever. Much too clever. Well, I guess I'll just have to resign myself to starvation.
Surely someone with your experience, your presence, ought to be able to make a living, Mr. Dorn.
What exactly? Any suggestions will be gratefully received.
Well, maybe I do have a suggestion.
Draper, I'm just about... Are you still working on the Crawford brief?
Yep. Should have it done tonight, Mike.
The trial's still a week away. Why knock yourself out?
Well, I wanted to get it out of the way. I have a couple of meetings next week. By the way, you read about George Barron of the Monticello Trust?
Oh, yeah.
Looks like he's going to be indicted. That means he's going to need some legal help.
You're going to take that case?
Well, Mike, it would mean a large fee for us.
Oh, sure it would. But if you ask me, he's financing his legal fund out of the money he embezzled. If he's proved guilty, there may be no fee at all.
Yeah, well, that occurred to me. But he is innocent until proven guilty. I take it that you'd rather I didn't touch this case.
It's up to you, Draper.
Oh, hell, Mike. I don't want that case either. For one thing, I can't stand the man, and for another, I think he is guilty. And that attitude certainly isn't going to help his chances.
Well, if you can avoid taking cases you don't believe in, you'll sleep a lot better.
That's what I keep telling myself. I say, Draper, stop thinking about the fee. Think about the client.
You're still determined to pay Margot back, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, last week, I had $3,000 put aside for her. And then April went to the hospital, and a couple of other things came up, and now I'm back down to 1,800.
Sounds like you're in a treadmill.
Oh, Mike. No matter how hard or how fast I run, I always seem to end up right back where I started.
Well, there's one thing you could do. Forget about this so-called debt to Margot, since she meant it as a gift. That way you'd save yourself a lot of grief and give your mother-in-law a lot of pleasure, especially now that she's alone.
Well, if it wasn't for what happened, I'd feel a lot sorrier for her. But Margot encouraging April to leave me over that business with Logan's baby, Mike.
I thought that was April's idea.
Oh, yeah, April did her running herself. But Margot put her up. I mean, shut the door right in my face. Margot was glad we had that quarrel, Mike. She was hoping it would get worse, not better. There I go again. I'm always on the attack. If I could just learn to keep my mouth shut. Mike, I can't help it. You don't know that woman the way I do. You don't know the ugly, sneaky things she's done to hurt me.
No, I guess I don't. Take that call, Draper. I've got to leave. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, drive carefully, Mike. Karen Scott. Scott speaking.
Draper, this is Logan.
Hey, Swifty, how are you?
Well, I'm okay, I guess. I went by your place tonight to pay a little visit. Didn't get much of a reception. You weren't there, and April was on her way out the door.
Well, that's what you get for not calling first.
I guess.
Didn't you get to talk to her at all?
Yeah, for a few minutes. I tell you, your wife, ever since she found out she was pregnant, she positively glows. She's radiant. Had to cover my eyes when I walked in the door.
I know, Logan. She looks terrific. Got roses all over her cheeks.
Let's hope those roses don't fade if she runs into the Witch of Glenborough or whatever.
She told you about that, huh?
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything to worry about. You know those Hollywood people. All they want to do is have fun and games and get some free publicity. They think that April's psychic powers are going to get them 2 extra minutes on the air tonight.
Yeah, she told me that too, but I don't know, Draper. Hell, it's none of my business, but do you think this is one of your better ideas?
You know, wait a second. It wasn't my idea. April just didn't want to lose the money they were offering. Now, come on, what could happen?
Well, nothing, I guess. It's just that the lady happens to be pregnant, you know, and I always assumed that you take care of pregnant women. You wrap them up in cotton wool.
No, Logan, they don't believe that anymore. Take it from me. She's going to be just fine.
I even offered to go over there, hold her hand tonight, but she said they probably wouldn't even let me in the studio.
Yeah, I know. They have the set pretty tightly closed. You know, Logan, maybe you're right. Maybe I should have gone with her. Maybe I still will.
Just watch your step and follow me around here. I'll introduce you to the gentleman of the press. Mrs. Scott, this is Joe Belson. Jack, sorry, I forgot the last name.
Jack Vincent, Mrs. Scott.
And Wally Cohen with the camera.
Listen, you didn't tell me there were going to be any newspaper people here at all, publicity people.
Well, I didn't think it'd do any harm, Mrs. Scott, in case something happened. Not that we're expecting very much.
What about Owen Madison, Eddie? Didn't you say he was going to be here?
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Madison has been detained on some important business. Now, the important business we have out here is to try and find out what's been causing these psychic phenomena.
Mrs. Scott. Yeah. Is it true that you consider yourself a genuine psychic?
No, that's not true at all.
What Mrs. Scott means is that she's not a professional in this field. She's just a person with a sensitivity toward spirit happenings. Isn't that true, Mrs. Scott?
No. What I mean is that in the past I have had a few psychic experiences. That's
What kind of experiences?
Well, I had a few visions and premonitions.
Your mother is Margot Huntington Dorn, isn't she,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Do you really believe that some kind of spiritual presence is in the studio?
Now, wait a minute, gentlemen, that's enough. Now, I told you this was not going to be a press conference. This is just a paranormal experiment to try and see if we can find out if there is something here in the studio. Perhaps the the returned spirit of Hester Atherton, the witch who's been trying to stop the production of this film. Here, would you hold this, please, Mrs. Scott?
What for?
Well, in case a spirit does come, it's bound to come in the dark, which, of course, reflects the void from which it came. I got that out of a book, fellas.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Just try to find our ghosts, Mrs. Scott. I'll go kill the lights.
No, I understand. Well, there's no harm asking, is there? All right. Fine. Well, thank you very much. All right. Bye now.
Oh!
Nola! God, where'd you disappear to?
I just went out for some air. I just I wanted to think things a little. And I had an incredible thought. A wonderful, wonderful idea.
Uh-huh. About what?
Well, about the biggest problem we have right now. The part of Nicholas Harriman, devil.
Nola, look, I don't want any more list of names. I've already gone through the A list and the B list.
I have more than a name, Owen. I have the devil himself. One moment. Come in, Mr. Dorn.
Mr. Dorn? Hello, Elliot.
Mr. Madison?
Owen, look at him. Look at his face, at those eyes. Why, he's much more satanic than Trent Archer could ever be. He is Nicholas Harriman. You see? The fire agrees.
I really think this thing is absolutely ridiculous.
Go ahead now, Mrs. Scott, please.
Would you stop that? Remember, you're doing this for the money, just for the money, okay? I really think this thing is absolutely ridiculous.
Go ahead now, Mrs. Scott, please.
Would you stop that? Remember, you're doing this for the money, just for the money, okay?
Wally, hit the lights. Look at it right outside the door. Mrs. Scott, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just give me a minute.
You saw something, didn't you? Something that scared the heck out of you. How about it, fellas? Did you see anything?
Not me.
What was it, Mrs. Scott?
I don't know.
know. I don't know. I dropped the candle.
Sure you didn't set this up, Eddie?
Are you kidding? I was nowhere near the lady. I was with you guys. This is no kind of a gag. Why didn't you get a picture?
I didn't see anything to take a picture of.
Well, Mrs. Scott saw something. I told you she was psychic. She's sensitive to this
Look, I
kind of thing.
don't know what it was I saw. Maybe it was my imagination, you know? Or maybe it was a poster or something.
Well, we don't keep any posters here. I mean, look for yourself.
Well, then I don't know what it was.
April? April, what's going on? What's happening? What are you doing?
Gentlemen, this is the lady's husband, the attorney, Draper Scott. Get a shot of both of them.
No pictures! I want to know what's going on. Honey, you're as white as a ghost.
Hey, well, she saw something. You knew your wife was psychic. She saw something that nobody else could see. Isn't that right, fellas?
How about that, Mr. Scott? Do you really believe your wife can be contacted by spirits? I believe my wife should get the hell out of this place and come home. I should never have allowed her to come here in the first place. She's going to have a baby.
Mrs. Scott, before you go, could we ask a few questions? I mean, what happened tonight is news, and the public has a right to know.
It's okay, Draper. And besides, a deal's a deal.
What happened over there, honey?
Did you see a ghost?
I don't know. I saw something. It was only there for a few seconds, and I told you I dropped the candle.
I told you to keep your camera ready. Well, it probably doesn't matter. They say that your ghosts are like vampires. You can't take pictures of them.
My boss would be pretty unhappy with a roll of blank film, Eddie.
You know, this is real convenient for you, Eddie. I mean, we didn't see anything, and we didn't get any pictures. Do you really expect us to believe what Mrs. Scott has to say on this?
I told you she was very sensitive to the spirit world. Probably this ghost wouldn't let anybody else see it but her.
Is that true, Mrs. Scott? That you have experienced a supernatural phenomena before?
I don't want to talk about my past.
Please,
thank
don't
you.
pressure her, boys. Don't pressure her. She's had a very frightening experience, and besides, she's pregnant.
Hey, no offense, Eddie, but you know the rule of our business. Whatever a politician or a press agent says, you take with a grain of salt.
Lots of people have seen funny lights and things out here, and a lot of other things have happened, too.
Give us a break, Eddie. You did hire Mrs. Scott. She's not exactly an impartial observer.
Are you accusing me of setting this thing up? You think she's a fraud?
My wife is not a liar, Vaughn. Well, maybe she has a very vivid imagination.
I told you I did see something.
Why don't you describe it?
All right. It was a woman.
She look anything like Nola Patterson?
I don't know what she looked like.
A witch, of course.
Honey, could it be an illusion?
Look, Mr. Scott, fellas, if you see anything around here that looks like a wicked old witch, I wish you'd point it out to me.
Look, all I know is that I did see something. It might have been my imagination. Maybe I just saw what I was afraid I might see.
Hester Atherton, the witch that doesn't want this picture made. Right, guys?
That's enough. If my wife said she saw something, then she saw it. And that's all the questions I'm going to let her answer about this right now. Come on, let's get out of here.
Mr. Scott,
One more question.
Mr. Scott!
Oh, Mr. Madison, your leading actor left you before you could even begin production.
Oh, well, I say good riddance to him and his superstitions.
Do you mean to tell me he really left because he thought there was a curse put upon him by, what's her name, Hester Atherton?
Well, Dr. Kavanaugh diagnosed his illness as hypoglycemia, but he absolutely refused to believe that it wasn't Hester's ghost casting the evil eye on him.
Well, I can assure you, Mr. Madison, I don't have a superstitious bone in my body.
Unfortunately, that isn't the main criterion for playing the role of Nicholas Harriman.
I'm sure that Ellie can do it, Owen.
Darling, we're not talking about a walk-on. It's a starring role.
I'm well aware of the responsibility, Mr.
Elliot, I know that my wife thinks that you're perfect for the role, and she says that she'll feel comfortable working with you, but upwards of $1 million is riding on this film. Now, that may not be big money by today's standards, but it's big to me.
Well, as I told your wife before, Owen, I was involved in some theatricals before, even though it was on an amateur basis.
I see, but your most recent job was running a nightclub. Now, what happened to that?
That ended with my marriage. You see, my wife and I didn't have any children, so Margot thought she'd take custody of the club instead.
Oh, and you'll have to agree that he looks the part.
Oh, you certainly are the image. There's no doubt about that.
Satanic?
Yes. and fatally attractive. The devil should be fatally attractive, in my opinion.
Well, I can give you my ex-wife as reference. She thinks I'm the devil himself.
Now, about your amateur experience, what was it?
Well, I was involved in the drama department at the university where I taught.
And a year or so ago, you had another sort of role, didn't you, Elliot?
Well, I'd rather not discuss that, if you don't mind.
Oh. Well, it doesn't matter. Oh, and there's simply no way of knowing whether Elliot is right for the part or not until you and Jason hear him read for it. Isn't that right?
Yes, yeah, I guess that's right.
And he may turn out to be exactly what we want, and then we can start shooting.
Well, I guess we have nothing to lose.
And maybe a great deal to gain.
All right. Mr. Dorn, can you come out to the soundstage tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock? That is, if you're available.
I'll be there, Mr. Madison.
Good.
At the moment, I'm very available. Mrs. Madison.
As soon as we finish going over the schedule for the 11 o'clock news, I'm leaving here.
Oh, really? I thought this morning you said no thanks. That you were going to stay until all hours working on that FCC survey.
Well, I was, but I have a date.
You do? Good for you.
Well, it's with April. Draper's working late, and she said she'd come over and keep me company. Have a little girl talk. Yes?
Hello, everyone.
Oh,
Miles, hi.
How are you?
Okay.
Just what the doctor ordered. How are you, Margot?
Busy, as usual.
Would you like to come out to dinner with Nicole and me? We'd love to have you.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you, but I'm meeting April.
Oh, well, that's nice. Give my little sister our love.
I will.
Where would you like to eat, Mrs. C?
I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me. As long as I am with you.
You know, Nicole has really been a tremendous help to me. Not only is she taking on extra news work, but she's also helping me with this darn paperwork. Ugh.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, you know, it might be a very good time to hit her for a raise. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of vulnerable right now. You might even get it. It might be a good time to try.
No. Wouldn't be fair.
Oh, Miles, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you're here. Doctor, I have a little medical question for you.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's after hours. My fees are an awful lot higher, you know.
Oh, well, don't be so petty. It's about your sister. Actually, what I wanted to know was, with her head injury and considering the pregnancy, do you think it'd be all right if she came back to work fairly soon?
Well, the head injury didn't amount to much, so I don't think there's any problem there. As far as her pregnancy is concerned, I think it would be a better idea for you to ask Dr. Buckley.
Don't pay the fee, Margot. The answer wasn't worth it.
All right. Well, then I'll just talk to Dr. Buckley. Do you have his number?
Her number.
Well, do you have her number? Oh, come on. I think it'd be all right if I talked to my daughter's doctor.
Well, yes, I suppose it would, except that I just would advise you to make sure that you let April know that you're talking to her, and let Draper know, too.
Yes, well.
Anyway, if she is as healthy as I think she is, I'm sure that Dr. Buckley would say that it's perfectly all right for April to work practically until the moment they wheel her into the delivery room.
Well, that's good news, but I just had a horrible thought. I've got to go out shopping. I have to buy myself a cane and a shawl. Do you realize I'm going to be a grandmother?
Oh, Margot, please don't do that. Don't make yourself old before your time.
Speaking of time, I think I'd better go. April may be at the apartment already. And besides, you two want to start your evening. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
She's still pretty down, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. You know, the real reason I think she wants April back here so fast is because she needs to have somebody close by her who loves her. Just a second. Hello, Margot Dorn's office.
Nicole. Oh, it's Draper.
Oh, Draper, hi. How are you? Margot isn't here. Is there anything I can do for you?
Well, I was just calling to tell Margot that April wouldn't be able to keep her appointment with her this evening.
Oh, listen, Margot just left the office, but I think I can catch her before she leaves. Miles is here. Do you want to talk to him?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, here he is.
Draper, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine,
How's
Miles.
April?
Not so well. She wanted to keep her appointment with Margot tonight, but I persuaded her to stay home and rest.
What's the matter? Did you get a hold of Dr. Buckley?
April says she doesn't need medical attention.
All right, what happened?
She had a bad experience, Miles. She was pretty shaken up. It happened over on that movie set where they're shooting Mansion of the Damned.
What was she doing? Some kind of a follow-up interview?
No, strictly freelance. She thought she could pick up a few extra dollars moonlighting. I should say candle lighting.
Well, doing what?
April was trying to add ghost hunting to her list of accomplishments. Turned out that she did it better than she thought. Miles, look, I know it's late, and this may be an inconvenience, but could you and Nicole stop over this evening? I'd really like to talk to you about this.
Yeah, we're just on our way out to dinner, but we can stop by.
That would be terrific.
All right, I'll see you then. Ghost hunting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I wonder how long it's been since April and Draper have been out for a quiet evening.
Draper's dinners usually consist of a cold hamburger and a container of coffee at his desk.
How do you know that?
Well, I usually see Anna cleaning up the remains in the morning.
Oh, that's no way to live.
Tell Draper that.
You're worried about him, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I suppose good old-fashioned hard work never killed anyone, but Draper may be putting that adage to the test.
Is he still taking on too many cases?
Any other lawyer who would carry a caseload like he does would require 2 law clerks to assist him.
Mike, haven't you talked to him about overdoing it?
Sure, I have, but every time I bring up the question, he changes the subject.
Well, it's not good for him. And it's not good for the firm, Mike. This can't go on indefinitely.
Well, I just hope he comes to that realization intellectually before all these hours he's putting in catch up with him physically.
That's all so unnecessary.
Well, as far as Draper is concerned, he has to earn $35,000 to repay Margot back as quickly as possible, and damn the consequences.
He really shouldn't take such a hard line on that.
Well, he feels as if he won't own that home until he pays that debt back.
Can't April talk some sense into him?
Well, I'm sure she's tried, but... Nancy, the trouble is Draper's problem goes a lot deeper than just a meddling mother-in-law.
Really? Why else would he be going to all this trouble?
Well, he hasn't talked about it, but I'm sure he's not been able to forget what happened in New York.
Yeah, well, I can understand that.
He was on the verge of getting the job of a lifetime, and since Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside didn't give him any explanation for their change of heart, he has to assume it was because of some inadequacy.
Oh, but he's a fine lawyer.
Sure he is, but that was a rough blow to his ego. I think he's trying to compensate by taking on as much work as he can to prove that they were wrong.
Well, you know why they turned him down.
Yes, I know. Oh, thanks.
Thank you. Mike, there is something that we can do to help him. You know that.
I still think we should not get involved, Nancy.
We could talk to Margot.
Do you really think that Margot would admit that she used her influence to keep that job from him getting that job?
She might if she had to face the facts.
I doubt it. And what good would it do, Nancy? Draper has a lot of animosity towards her now. This would only widen the rift.
I know. But, honey, for several reasons, this situation can't go on.
Well, you know, there might be another way to approach this.
I'm listening.
Margot's not the only one who knows the truth. David Henson does, too.
Of course. I wonder if he really knows what he did. He probably doesn't realize that Margot manipulated him.
I could talk to Mr. Henson, face to face. I'm going to be in New York later on this week for a meeting on that Palmer suit.
But will you have the time?
I'll make the time, Nancy. I think I'm going to invite Mr. Henson out for a nice, friendly meal.
And that's why I think Miles and Nicole should come over.
No, I think it's silly.
Well, I trust Miles' judgment.
Believe me. Look, he's going to be here any minute, so just
Yeah,
relax,
okay.
all
What
right?
did you get from Cedric
Yeah,
the
it's
Devil?
all taken. See, there they are now.
Speaking of the devil.
And you thought you were the only one who had supernatural powers.
Some people's wit.
Oh, thanks for coming so fast.
Hello. There you are. What did you do? Run over here? I'm okay.
Are you sure you're all right?
Draper
fine.
tells
Why
us
don't
you
you
let
sit
yourself in for quite a scare this evening. What's this all about?
Well, maybe you should give her look her over, Miles, just to make sure she's feeling all right.
Draper, I do not need medical attention, thank you. Besides, Miles doesn't treat family, he told me.
Draper told Miles that you were on some sort of ghost hunt tonight. Now, where on earth did this idea come from?
Eddie Vaughn, the PR man who's promoting Mansion of the Damned.
Yeah, you know, we have been getting press releases from him every single day about mysterious lights appearing in the studio at night and inexplicable accidents happening on the
Yeah,
set.
he's the one that made a big deal out of Trent Archer quitting the film because he thought some sort of a curse had been placed on. The poor guy had a case of hypoglycemia, that's all.
Well, Eddie also thought that the ghost of Hester Atherton was haunting the studio, and he offered me a very pretty sum of money to find it.
What happened?
Okay, well, I started to do some exploring. I thought the thing was just absolutely ridiculous. And I started going up the stairs of the set when I became aware of a red glow coming from somewhere behind me, a red light. So when I turned in the direction of the light, I did see something.
Hester's ghost?
Draper, it was the form of a woman, and she was shrouded in this red glow.
How'd you get selected for this honor?
Well, I told you the other night that I had told Eddie Vaughn that I had had these visions and premonitions, and he figures I'm psychic and I'm just sensitive to all these phenomena.
Yeah, a psychic who also just happens to work for a television station. It's very convenient.
Ah, so you also agree. April was being used.
What better way to get TV coverage than to have the reporter herself get involved? He's a very shrewd man.
He certainly got what he wanted.
Well, I'm not so sure he didn't get more than he wanted.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, I don't know exactly what it was that I saw. And it could have been my imagination, or it could have been optical illusion, or maybe it could also have been the ghost of Hester Atherton.
I don't think you saw a ghost, April.
I'm sure you didn't. One simple reason. There ain't no such animal.
I agree. Look, I would be surprised if it were Nola Patterson in makeup hiding around here someplace trying to get free publicity.
No, I don't think it was Noel Patterson tonight. Somebody told me they saw her in Monticello. Unicorn, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so y'all think I'm having visions again?
Well, no. Well, yes. Just the vision that this Eddie Vaughn planted in your head. He wanted you to see a ghost, April, and with the help of your imagination, all the atmosphere, he got exactly that.
No, wait a minute. I prefer the idea of optical illusion. But you were in a cluttered studio, right? And the only illumination you had was the candle. It must have been a lot like WMON when the lights are out.
It's true, you know, whenever I walk through that studio and it's dark, I see all kinds of shapes, really.
Well, it could have been a prop hanging, you know, from a grid, or a poster. It may be a mannequin.
No, I'm sorry. This whole thing was just too real. You know, I started attempting to sketch it earlier. Let me see if I can finish it and give you an idea of what this thing looked like.
Well, fellow ghost hunters, I could use a drink. How about you?
Oh, all right. Scotch on the rocks?
Nothing for me, thanks, Draper. I'm no Rembrandt, but this is kind of give you an idea.
Here you go. Oh, thanks. Don't worry, honey. Who knows? If you turn out to be good at this, maybe sketching should be your hobby instead of ghost hunting.
Here, if you can get the idea. That is pretty much what it looked like, what I saw. Good heavens. Is it that bad?
What's wrong?
Oh, no. It's too good.
But Miles, do you remember at Margot's party that she gave her mansion on the dam, and I told you that I thought I saw somebody out on the terrace looking in at us?
Yes, and then we went out to investigate and there was nobody there.
April's picture is an exact likeness of what I saw on the terrace that night.
Thank you.